The Binance coin community has perhaps just undergone their most significant trial ever, with the trial and subsequent guilty plea from Changpeng Zhao, former CEO, yes, you heard that right, former CEO of Binance. The Binance community now understands that they are in a very, very, very good investment. And you might be surprised to hear me say that in light of recent events, but I'm going to explain to you why I believe Binance is actually a coin that you should consider picking up and adding to your portfolio following the events that unfolded yesterday. Now let's back up. Yesterday around 3:30, we found out that Changpeng Zhao actually pled guilty in a Seattle court to accusations of money laundering and encouraging Binance users to skirt KYC regulation. And one of the things that was interesting is that the Attorney General quoted him in a message back in 2019 saying, "Better to ask for forgiveness than for permission." And this has been kind of an ongoing mantra in the cryptocurrency space over the last, I don't know, 10 years, certainly the 6 years I've been here, that if we build something in cryptocurrency and we don't know whether or not it's going to fall into the regulation, the amount of good that we'll be able to do for the space, the amount of growth we'll be able to bring to the space before we get cracked down on, might be greater than the amount of punishment that we're going to receive. And so I just want to break down several things having to do with Binance and why I believe this whole situation actually proves that Binance is a good investment, and it's an investment I'm going to be looking to pick up, especially on the dip that we've seen over the last 24 to 48 hours. All right, so let's kind of go over the facts of the case so far. Binance and Coinbase came under scrutiny from the Securities and Exchange Commission starting back earlier on this year in late June, with accusations that they were operating unregistered securities exchanges. And so quite a few accusations have been made also against CZ. Among those were accusations that he knew that there was money laundering going on the platform, and that he knew that there were millions of American users that were using Binance that should not have been able to because it was not allowed in the United States. He and the company have now pled guilty to that. The company has agreed to pay $4.3 billion in fines. CZ personally is going to pay $50 million in fines and face up to 18 months in prison. Honestly, that's not really that big of a slap on the wrist, considering the tens of millions of people Changpeng Zhao has brought into the cryptocurrency space and the massive amount of adoption that has been had because of the exchange that is Binance. I want to get something out of the way first and foremost. Obviously, if I'm saying it's an investment that I'm looking at picking up, I think that Binance is going to survive and thrive from here. Nothing that I have seen indicates that Binance is bankrupt. Nothing indicates that Binance has run out of liquidity, that there's any kind of liquidity issue. CZ himself says that the funds are safe, and I'm inclined to believe that he is right on that. So with this development, CZ will no longer be the chief executive officer of Binance, and he will again be facing up to 18 months in prison, but through several different deals, he very well may be able to get out before then, or even just experience a couple of years of probation. According to his recent Twitter post, he will continue to work in the cryptocurrency space, mostly in the investment realm and in DeFi. So why do I now believe that Binance is a cryptocurrency that should be on your radar when I've had concerns about it in the past? One of my biggest concerns about Binance for years has been how closely the Binance coin is tied to Binance the exchange. And my concern has been that should anything terrible ever happen to the name Binance Exchange, the price of the Binance coin might drop sharply, and the investors would be left holding the bag should something happen to CZ or Binance the company. Well, I am very pleased to tell you that that doesn't seem to be the case. This is about the worst that would ever happen to Binance short of absolute bankruptcy. And Binance has made it very clear, and we obviously already knew, that Binance Smart Chain and Binance the Exchange are two very separate entities, and we have seen that happen recently. The largest drop that we saw on Binance was about an 18% drop in the span of about 8 hours. And if you go from 7 days ago to today, Binance is only down about 5 to 6% after the exchange has agreed to pay $4.3 billion in fines, and CZ has been lost as the CEO, and he will now be relegated to an advisory position. Again, this is one of the worst things that could happen to Binance short of an absolute bank run and complete and total collapse like what happened with FTX, which I don't think is going to happen, and we have no indication is going to happen. Many people, including myself, have been concerned that if something like this were to happen and you saw a massive crash on Binance the coin, it would only validate the Securities and Exchange Commission's attack against Binance because, well, if you have this huge bearish narrative come out against the company, then the coin goes down. That just proves that the coin might as well just be a security of the exchange. Well, this has actually put a chink in that narrative for Gary Gensler, because this is one of the worst things that could possibly happen PR-wise for Binance. And yet the token price has barely moved, indicating that the stock price, if there were to be one, there's not an IPO, but if there were to be a stock for Binance, the stock price probably will drop 35% on news like this. The coin barely dropped at all. It shows you that the vast majority of the investors are invested in Binance Smart Chain because of the tech and not because of the name. That's a big point in favor of Binance. I've got several more. One of the ways that you know that a company is going to succeed is that when the founder and CEO either passes or steps away, that the company continues to survive and thrive. That happened with Apple when Steve Jobs passed. The company continued to explode. Now, people may have disagreed with the direction, people may have disagreed with quality and all of these things, but from a fundamental standpoint, the company continued to grow. Same thing happened with Walmart. When Sam Walton passed, yes, I would argue the quality went down sharply, but Walmart, from a technical and a fundamental standpoint, continued to grow aggressively, and it shows that there's something there underlying, and it's not just related to the name of the CEO. And that seems to be what's going to happen with Binance. It seems that Binance is going to perform very well even without CZ. This is a huge hit to the exchange. A lot of people want to say, well, Jeb, they've got hundreds of billions of dollars of customer funds. $4.3 billion is nothing to them. Wait a minute, that's not $4.3 billion of fines coming out of the customer funds. That's $4.3 billion of corporate funds. That's $4.3 billion that they've had to earn through revenue and through business activities. That's a lot of money. And the fact that Binance seems like it's going to be able to operate and survive and thrive even in that market just goes to show you, one, how big of a bull market we have coming and the amount of expected profit and revenue they're going to be able to see, but also the survivability of the exchange. And so now this all kind of brings me full circle back to the idea that I think Binance is a place that I am interested in putting some investment. With this news, Binance has obviously dropped some. The all-time high is $700. Binance is sitting around $262 last I checked. I do believe that Binance is going to perform very well, and I think I'm going to be making a Climate of Crypto video on it relatively soon because, again, my biggest concern with Binance has always been something happens to the exchange, what happens to the token price? I have now been proven that that is not a concern, and that if the exchange does have something happen to it, that the token and the coin itself are going to be able to survive and thrive based on the fundamentals. So, your takeaway. What would I say should be the takeaway here? I think the takeaway here is that if you are not already invested in Binance, there is actually an opportunity that you might want to do that right now. You may even want to consider dollar cost averaging into it over the next couple of months as maybe more news comes out. Maybe it comes out that they had a terrible Q4 because they had to pay $4.3 billion in fines. Maybe they had a little bit slower investor growth, all those things. You could have certain bearish fundamentals coming out in the short term because of this that could cause the price to drop even more, allowing you to buy the dip. But the fundamentals of the company seem to be rock solid if they're able to get through this. And just a final kind of farewell almost to CZ, because he's not going to be in the limelight as much as he has been anymore. He has brought tens of millions of people into the cryptocurrency space, and people are honoring him as a hero right now. There are, of course, things that did happen that were criminal, that he's admitted to. And so we don't want to forget those things. But I also do want to be fair and thank CZ for the amount of work that he's done in the cryptocurrency space and the amount of people that he's brought into the industry. So I'm very interested to see what he's going to do next. He doesn't seem to be interested in working 120 hours a week, founding another massive startup and being a huge entrepreneur again, but I'm sure that he will continue to be a name in the space. And I believe that what he touches is probably going to succeed. I would definitely follow him very closely for advice on the market and also for advice on business, because nobody knows cryptocurrency business better than CZ. And from what I can tell, the man that has been, that is taking over, his name's Richard, taking over the company from here, is going to be able to lead the company in a very, very good direction. Binance coin, definitely a pick that I am going to be picking up. By the way, guys, tomorrow is Thanksgiving, so shout out to everybody who's celebrating Thanksgiving here in the States mostly. Make sure you spend some time with your family. And before you forget, there are two massive deals going on right now, one for Lux Algo, one for CT2A. You can find both of those down below. Save 30% on CT2A, save 55% over on Lux Algo. You can find those links in the description box down below. Not going to want to miss it. They're not coming back. I don't think you're ever going to see a deal that sharp on either of those products ever again. So make sure to stay tuned because we got more coming. Peace.